Today I'm going to share with you 3 things that you absolutely should never do when you're practicing for an upcoming tournament on your local body of water. If you make sure you don't do these things next time you're practicing, I guarantee you will do better on your next local derby. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
And I'm Megan Fuller. So I'm really curious to know about these 3 mistakes. But before that, hey guys, if you could just subscribe to the channel, and if you like the videos, push the like button, and if you could share them like with your team's partner, and if you come up with a suggestion for a video, we can send you something from Tackle Warehouse. Like this video was suggested by Tim. Hi Tim. Thank you so much.
Tim, we're going to send you a Tackle Warehouse gift bag, and like you said, anybody else, put your comments in there, suggestions on new videos. If we use your suggestions in future videos, we'll send you a gift bag as well. Thanks.
So Mark, what are these 3 mistakes that people make?
Well, the first one, and this is the biggest one, is setting the hook on fish. I talk to guys who are, I went out practicing for a tournament that I got coming up this weekend. I caught 10 fish over here. And I'm like, you caught those 10 fish on a Wednesday and you got a tournament coming up on Saturday. Those 10 fish are not going to bite come Saturday. You stick those fish, they're gone. You just burn those fish. What's the point of going out on Wednesday practicing for a tournament and catching fish? It is ridiculous.
But wait, it's not like you're catching them and then keeping them. You're catching them and you're putting them back in the water. Why does it matter?
But because they're not gonna turn around. And 90% of those fish are not gonna bite 3 days later when you go back.
So they
picture this.
Hold on. Yep. So they remember, and they're like, kind of one of those like, fooled me once, shame on me. Fooled me twice, shame on, or however that. It
could be that you're actually educating the fish to that bait, like, okay, I got stuck and I'm not going to bite it again. Or the other thing that's happening is if you're going down a bank and you're flipping a bank and that fish is next to cover and that fish bites and you reel that fish in, bring him to the boat, let him go, he's not necessarily going to go back to that piece of cover again. So now that piece of cover is bare. You go and flip in there tomorrow or the next day, there's not a fish there anymore. You've pulled them off that cover. Whereas if I throw a bait in there that's hookless and doesn't have a hook, he's going to bite it. He might swim off a little bit, spit the bait, and he's going to swim right back to that piece of cover, go right back to where he was, and hang out there. I'm telling you, setting the hook on fish, sticking fish during practice is the dumbest thing that you can do before tournament day. I'm speaking from experience. And wait, I'm speaking from current experience. I still do it, and I got to get better at it. I'm telling you, that's one of my biggest faults that I have on the pro level is I still stick too many fish during practice.
Well, why do you do it?
Okay, that's the second thing. You're getting to the second thing. The second thing you need to leave at home and not bring with you on practice day is ego. Ego. You need to leave your ego back at home. Don't bring it with you. I call it practice ego. And guys, I'm admitting it. I always win practice. When we go on local tournaments, I room with a couple other guys. Every day of practice, out on tour, I'm the guy that wins practice. Guess how much money you make for winning practice? Nothing, okay? But I come back and, oh yeah, I caught 18 fish. And hey, how'd you do? Yeah, well, I actually caught maybe 2 or 3. And I'm like, I did better than them. It's because I was catching the fish and they were like, oh, I got a bite, mark that spot. But when I say a bite, they were throwing baits without hooks. And so they marked the bite, and now they know to go back into that area. They did not disturb that school of fish or those fish that were on specific cover. They didn't disturb those fish. They can go back to those fish later and catch them. Leave your practice ego at home. You don't need to win practice. All you got to do is mark fish where they currently are, so that 2 days from now in your tournament, you can go back and stick the crap out of them and bang on them.
Could it also maybe be a little bit of like insecurity?
100% insecurity. So if I use the word ego, and what I should have said was, leave your insecurities at home. That's all you need are bites. And let's face it, we love catching fish. Catching fish, what the drug is the tug, right? Or the tug is the drug. The tug is the drug, right? I mean, that's what we love. We're out fishing. I want that, oh man, I got one. But practice is practice. It's not fishing. You got to look at it from a standpoint of, I'm out there to practice so that I can crank on them during the tournament day. Practice is not fishing. And if we get that mindset of, I'm out here to do well on Sunday, not to do well today. All I want to do is locate fish. That's the deal. Now, one of the things I'm going to talk about in a different video is, how do you practice not using hooks? Because one of the biggest things, I guarantee there's guys out here right now that are thinking, yeah, but if I do that without hooks, I don't know what size those fish are.
Right.
Maybe I'm catching 12-inch fish, and that's not going to help me during Derby Day. If I catch a fish and it's 12 inches, I know I'm not going to fish here because I don't have the big ones. I get it. We're going to we're going to do another video just specifically on how do you do that.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions going on. How do you know for sure that you actually got a fish? How do you know what kind of fish?
How do you know it's a bass? How do you know how big it is?
Right. How do you know how big it is?
We're going to do another video on all of those details. We're not going to get into that here. But so far, we've told you, don't use hooks. Keep those hooks at home. And again, everything I'm saying is generalities. That doesn't mean that you're never going to stick a fish, but you need to stick way fewer fish than you currently are in practice if you want to do well in that tournament. So that's the first thing. Stick few fish as possible during practice. Second thing, leave that ego at home. You don't need to win practice. Go out, whether it's the fact that there's two parts about this. One is sticking fish and all you got to do. But the other is, if your partner went and fished the south side of the lake and said, oh man, I did great. Now you're going out the next day and you're practicing. You're going to combine your information. What do a lot of guys do? They go to the south side and say, I'm going to check out what Joe told me to do and see. Joe already did it. You don't need to go over there. Leave that stuff alone. But you want to go and confirm that Joe was right and that those fish were really there. And can I catch them just like Joe did? And they end up re-fishing what their tournament partner already fished. Why? Because they want to do just as well as Joe did. Don't do that. You're working together to get to what you can do well on Sunday. Leave that stuff. Now, does that mean if Joe worked the south side of the lake, you want to go work the north side that's 20 miles away? No. You want to be smart and go, okay, well, if Joe worked the south side, I'm going to work the middle or the south middle, so that if Joe's fish aren't there, we can go to mine and we don't have to drive 20 miles to get to my fish that are on the complete other side of the lake. So use his information, but don't go refish his fish. I see that happen all the time. My partner went out and caught him here, and so what did I do? Well, I wasn't catching him here, so I went back and checked on his fish. What a waste of time. The ego part has two parts to it. One is catching fish. Instead of catching fish, it's you're just getting bit. But the other is not refishing. If you're fishing with a team partner and he's already fished a certain area or found a certain bait that works, do something different. Don't continue to do his same technique in the same place.
Because you almost like want to one-up him.
Not because you want to one-up him. You want what you want. Yes, one-upping him would be good, but do it with a different bait in a different part of the lake, and then come back to him and say, well, you caught 10 and I caught 20 in a different part of the lake. That's great. Okay. But catching 20 fish in the spot that he caught 10, you're not getting anything out of it. You're not going to do well, or as well as you could come tournament time.
Got it.
So the second thing is you're leaving that ego at home. Okay. The third thing that I'd like you to do is, and again, I'm speaking in general terms, leave those waypoints at home. if you know that on my body of water, the place to fish is this area, okay, or these specific docks or whatever it is, you already know that. You don't need to do that during practice. You can go and quickly check if you want. Okay, I'm checking that dock without a hook. Yep, there's still fish there. But don't spend a lot of time on it. That's information you know. It's information you have. Practice should be used to get new information.
Okay.
Very rarely in a school situation, homework is practice for kids, right?
Right.
We don't have kids do practice on 2 + 2 is 4 when they're in high school. They know it. We don't need them to practice that. We need them to practice their algebra because that's what they're working on now. By you going to waypoints that you've been going to for the last 3 years on your local body of water and checking that pier to make sure there's still fish there, when there's fish there 90% of the time, is a waste of your practice time. Put those waypoints away, find new waypoints, get on those, find those waypoints without setting the hook, and go to them on Derby Day and jack those fish then. Three things: waypoints, ego, and hooks. You leave those things at home during practice, and you're going to do much better when it comes to your local tournament every Sunday with your team partner. We hope you like this tip. Give us your comments. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Bye.